Please adhere to YouTube's selected guidelines before viewing the content of this video. I do not encourage or condone any products, actions, or behaviors shown in this video. All videos are produced in a safe, professional, and controlled environment. Please do not attempt to replicate any actions performed during the video. All actions are performed by professionals.
Alrighty, so today I'm going to be putting a straight stem on a bent pipe, and then after that I'm going to be smoking it and letting y'all know how a bent pipe actually smokes when you stick a straight stem to it. As a whole, I certainly am looking forward to this experience a little bit more so than not, as I am quite curious to find out just how good or just how bad a bent stemmed pipe will be when you stick a straight stem to it, which is really not something that you're meant to do, because the vast majority of bent pipes, with this pipe being included, are designed for bent stems. They're meant to take bent stems, and we can tell that this pipe is also designed to really only take bent stems, just simply because the shank itself right here comes out at a diagonal angle, whereas if this pipe was straight, this shank right here would come out at a 90-degree angle, at a straight angle. This pipe is designed to take a bent stem. But will it still smoke well if you put a straight stem on it? Well, I don't know, but I'm looking forward to finding out, and that is exactly why I'm making this video today. The pipe I'm going to be using for today's video is, in specific, my Missouri Meerschaum Country Gentleman bent pipe. But I do suppose I can't actually stick a straight stem on a bent pipe and then smoke it to find out just what a bent pipe actually smokes like when you stick a straight stem to it, if I don't actually stick a straight stem to it. So I do suppose, without further ado, I should probably go ahead and get this bent stem all off. I should probably go ahead and put the straight stem onto it, and then after that, I suppose I should probably go ahead and put some tobacco in this pipe and actually get to smoking and find out just what a bent stem pipe actually smokes like when you stick a straight stem to it. Yeah, I suppose I should probably just go ahead and get this off now, shouldn't I? So, without further ado, let's go ahead and just twist it off, just like that. We've got a little bit of a used filter in there, and I'm gonna go ahead and just put that on the cooler next to me. And I'm gonna go and grab a filter, a new filter, out of my little pipe bag I've got. Just got two of them kind of stuck together. Go and grab those, go and throw that back in there. And now I'm gonna go ahead and grab my replacement filter. This is a replacement Missouri Meerschaum filter, not filter, stem. I'm getting more just a little bit jumbled up today, I will acknowledge. But this is a black straight filtered stem for Missouri Meerschaum, and it is Missouri Meerschaum branded and whatnot, of course. But let's go ahead and just get this stem out just real quick and use it as a replacement for my bent stem. I'm gonna go and put this plastic in my, wait a minute, I just realized. Oh my goodness, I just realized I need to grab a little bit of a screenshot now, don't I? I just realized I need to grab a little bit of a screenshot, but I've already taken the bent stem off of this pipe. Oh no. I'm a little bit jumbled up today, I will acknowledge. Well, let's go ahead and grab my bent stem. Just once again, I'm just gonna go ahead and take this out. I'm gonna throw that away after the video, but I'm just gonna throw this back in here just real quick. Just like that. And I'm gonna go and try to grab myself just a little bit of a screenshot real quick, just before I go too deep into the video and whatnot. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna go and hold this one in this hand and then this like this. That's all good, all right, bet. You know, I had to do the YouTube face just a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Had to do it to him. Now with the screenshot all out of the way though, let's go ahead and put the filter I've got right here just in the stem, just like that. Let's go ahead and get the bent stem back off of this pipe. Just twist it out once again. And now that I've done that, let's go and put that down. Let's go ahead and grab this stem right here. And then all I've got to do to put the straight stem on this bent pipe is to just stick it in, and it should fit just fine. I hope, at least. Go ahead and put it in. It's a bit tight of a fit, but it fit just fine. Let's go ahead and just see this, and this definitely looks a little bit different than, like, let's say a normal Missouri Meerschaum Country Gentleman with a straight stem, as otherwise it would be coming out kind of like that. But this is definitely at a little bit of an angle, to say the least. So this is definitely a little bit different than your normal sort of straight stemmed Missouri Meerschaum Country Gentleman, but not too different. but it might provide a little bit of a different experience, and that's exactly why I'm making this video today, of course. I'm trying to figure out, this is kind of at a little bit of an angle, and now it's stuck. So that was actually a little bit of a tight fit. I really need to get like some beeswax or something, because I've heard that beeswax can make it a little bit kind of easier. There we go. I did bite into the stem quite a bit doing that, but that is perfectly fine. It is now aligned a lot better so than not, with the filter all in the pipe and with the straight stem all on my bent pipe. I do suppose now it is time to go ahead and, well, get some tobacco in my bent pipe, which is now actually kind of a straight pipe, but it's actually a bent pipe with a straight stem on it. I do suppose now it's time to go ahead and talk about what tobacco I'm actually going to be putting in this pipe right here, and then after that I think it's time for me to go ahead and actually get to smoking now, isn't it? So what am I going to be actually smoking today? Well, today I'm going to be smoking some Five Brothers pipe tobacco. This is a straight, burley, shag cut blend of pipe tobacco that is much stronger than not, and it is some pretty good stuff as a whole that I do very much enjoy, and hopefully it'll give me a good idea of whether there's any major differences between smoking out of a pipe with a bent stem or a bent pipe with a straight stem. We'll find out, you know what I'm saying? But without further ado, let's go ahead and get this pipe tobacco jar all opened up, and let's go ahead and just grab my Otagiri rolling tray that I've got right here, and I'm just gonna go put that down on the rolling tray, go and put my pipe on the rolling tray as well. One thing I am noticing is this does not like to sit and nearly as well as it used to, but it does still sit okay. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my check pipe tool out as well. I completely forgot to do that. Just go ahead and do that just real quick. And now that I've got everything all out, let's go ahead and just grab a pinch of the Five Brothers pipe tobacco, which smells fantastic, getting a very nice sort of chocolatey, sort of nutty, cigar-y scent from the tobacco. I'd have to say smells really, really, really dang good, to say the least. Go and just throw all that in there. Go and just tamp it down just a little bit. Put some more in there. Just another little pinch or two kind of thing. Just tamp it down again, just a little bit of a light tamp. Hopefully I'm doing an okay job tamping this stuff down. Really, honestly, not sure if I am. I'm still not super used to smoking Five Brothers pipe tobacco. Not super used to smoking like shag cut pipe tobaccos. It's taken some getting used to say the least. But I've now got my pipe all filled up just like that. It was pretty easy to fill it up. I'm gonna put that down on the cooler I'm using as a table right next to me, and I'm gonna go and put all the tobacco on my rolling tray back in the jar right there. Go and put that back down on the ground, go and grab the lid. And now I'm gonna go ahead and put all that down. Go and get all the tobacco all off of me and whatnot kind of thing. Go and take a little bit of a sip of water. And now, I do suppose, before I go ahead and get this all lit up, with the no, I'm getting more jaw jumbled up today, I will acknowledge. Before I go ahead and get this all lit up, now that I've actually got the tobacco in this pipe, I think it is now time for me to go ahead and just see if this feels any different in mouth than normal. Does it feel different in mouth than a bent stem pipe? Does it feel different in mouth than a straight stem pipe? Let's go ahead and find out. It does feel a little bit different than both. With a bent stem pipe, the center of mass is kind of low because it's bent. It's kind of going all the way down here. With a straight stem pipe, it's kind of like up here, like right around there normally. But with this pipe, because this bowl is actually at an angle going up, the center of mass is actually pretty high up. So it actually feels a little bit different than normal. That is very interesting. It's not uncomfortable. It's pretty easy to clench. But the center of mass is definitely a little bit different than other corncob type pipes I've tried in the past. So that is certainly a little bit different than I'm used to, and I think it's literally just because holding it at a little bit of an angle. I think if this was kind of coming out a little bit straight, it would definitely be a little bit different kind of feeling when I'm clenching. But because this is literally a bent pipe with a straight stem on it, it does have a little bit of a different center of mass, and it does just feel a little bit different when I'm clenching it. That is one difference right there that is a little bit more interesting than not. But will there actually be any differences when I'm smoking? Well, I don't know. There's only one way to find out though, and so as such, without further ado, I'm just gonna grab my Bic lighter out of my backpack, which I forgot to do before the video. And now that I got my lighter all out of my backpack, I do suppose, without further ado, it is time for me to go ahead and get my bent pipe with a straight stem on it all lit up, and I do suppose it's time for me to find out just how well or just how badly or just how normally a bent pipe with a straight stem actually smokes. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get to smoking. Yes sir, you know what I'm saying. Right off the bat was getting a little bit pull through. That's pretty normal though, especially for this pipe tobacco. Now I am curious, is this stem, okay, so it's actually pretty much the exact same size. So the bent stem is pretty much the exact same size as the stem I've got in it right now. A little bit rough, but honestly, I'm pretty sure that's just the tobacco. Wow, it's actually quite rough. I gotta take a moment and take a little bit of a sip of water. Five Brothers pipe tobacco is some really rough stuff, and it is some very strong stuff. I really like it, but it's definitely something that can kind of kick your ass quite fast. Not really getting a lot of smoke, but I think that's just my packing, in all honesty. So far, this pipe is just smoking normally, and honestly, I'm not terribly surprised about that. It's not really smoking any differently than normally. The really main difference with this pipe compared to either a straight pipe or a bent pipe really is just how the center of gravity is coming across. It's really nothing too major smoking-wise, at least right now. And honestly, I don't really expect there to be too many major differences when I'm actually smoking, but the center of gravity thing is very interesting to me, and actually it's something I don't mind about this pipe one bit. Excuse me. But it is worth acknowledging that when I am clenching this pipe, due to the kind of higher center of gravity, it does bounce around just a little bit more so than not. Like we can see, it kind of bounces around quite a bit, just like that kind of thing. And it just bounces around a little bit more easily than both straight pipes, normal straight pipes that is, and bent pipes. Like I'd have to say straight pipes bounce around a little bit when compared to like bent pipes. But this pipe bounces around even more than both of them just because of the higher center of gravity. So that's definitely really the most major difference I'm noticing between just a straight stem pipe and a normal straight stem pipe and a bent stem pipe compared to this pipe right here, just right off the bat at least. I gotta admit though, so far, so good. So far, so good, y'all. I'm trying to figure out if I'm noticing any differences in like the smoking experience. And I'm not really noticing any in the smoking experience itself. I do kind of feel like when compared to the bent stem, it's a little bit easier to draw. And I think that it's not like significantly easier to draw. It's when I say a little bit easier to draw, I really do mean just a little bit. But I think it's just because there's like no bend there and stuff like that kind of thing that it's just a little bit easier to draw. But not like to any real extent. I really do feel like it's just a little bit easier to draw. But it could also be the fact that the last pipe tobacco I smoked has a different consistency. The last pipe tobacco I smoked out of this pipe has a different consistency than Five Brothers. Could be that. Could also be the fact that I mainly remember smoking the latter half of that bowl. And so the filter had a little bit of tar in it and everything like that kind of thing. Maybe that affected just kind of the smoking experience just a little bit as well, kind of thing. There's definitely factors that could be making that happen, other than just the straight stem. It definitely looks a little bit different than normal. Like just, yeah. Definitely looks a little bit different than normal for sure. Of course, that's another difference. Most straight stem pipes kind of just go out straight. They don't have a bent shank, whereas this one does, of course, because this is not a normally straight pipe. It is normally a bent pipe. So it definitely does look a little bit different. So of course, that is one other difference. So yeah, really the main differences I'm noticing between just a normal bent pipe, or this normal bent pipe with the bent stem on it, compared to this pipe with the straight stem on it, so far is just how the weight of the pipe is kind of positioned. It definitely feels just a little bit different than normal in mouth when I'm clenching. I'd have to say the look of it is definitely different, of course, and then maybe a little bit easier to draw. And I'd have to say those are really the three major things that I'm noticing right now. None of those things are really major big effects by any means. They don't really make too big of a difference when you're actually smoking, but those are differences nonetheless that I am noticing. I definitely have to say with the more odd weight and kind of positioning of the bowl, this is definitely a little bit more awkward to hold in mouth than, like, let's say a normal bent pipe or even or a normal straight pipe or something like that kind of thing. Like, I personally find straight pipes to be the most comfortable, so I was honestly expecting this to be more comfortable than a bent pipe. And I was expecting it to be just as comfortable as a normal straight pipe, but it's actually kind of not. It's a little bit awkward just due to the weight of it. Kind of, yeah. Just kind of awkwardly sits there because the weight is kind of, it's not designed for a straight stem. The weight is kind of off. The center of mass is just kind of off, so it feels, I mean, like, I think if I got used to this, it wouldn't bother me. But just because this is a little bit different, I'm noticing those little differences. Just because this is my first experience. Very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. So, you know, definitely feeling just right off the bat a little bit different, kind of in mouth and maybe a little bit awkward just because I'm not used to it. So that's definitely a difference. Actual smoking wise, am I noticing any real differences? Not really. The Five Brothers tastes like normal. It tastes like very much, I'd have to say, cigar, coca, hazelnut kind of thing. Much more savory than anything. Tastes really good. but it doesn't really taste any different than normal. Doesn't seem to be coming across any rougher than normal by any means. This is not a very moist pipe tobacco by any means. If anything, Five Brothers is generally considered to be a very dry pipe tobacco. But I do feel like with this kind of setup, if you had a more moist pipe tobacco than not that you were smoking out of this pipe, it would be possible for this pipe to just start gurgling, maybe a little bit, especially if you are a wet smoker or something like that kind of thing. Like with a bent pipe, you've got like this area up here and you're kind of holding it like this, so some of the water might kind of sit like that and then go down, but like with this, it's just all downhill kind of thing. So it might gurgle a little bit easier than if you're using a normal bent stem. But that's really just a guess, because I don't think this pipe is going to start gurgling if I had to guess. I really can't say whether that's something that would actually happen or not. It is a beautiful day out here today, though. Feels amazing. It's like 75 degrees right now. I've got a really nice buzz, a really big buzz from the Five Brothers. The Five Brothers pipe tobacco is some strong stuff, to say the least. I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying my buzz. I'm enjoying my smoke. And I'm having a great time. Yeah, smoking wise, I'm not really noticing any differences. It's just how the pipe, well, I guess it is kind of smoking wise with kind of how the pipe sits in your mouth, but with, there's not, I think really what I'm trying to say when I'm saying smoking wise is, this is not affecting how the tobacco smokes by any means. The tobacco is still smoking, excuse me, as it normally would, to say the least. It's just that actually holding the pipe itself in your mouth is a little bit different. And maybe there's some other minor differences as well, but really the main one really is just the weight in your mouth and the fact that the pipe, at least for this first experience with a bent pipe with a straight stem, it just does feel a little bit different, and it's just a little bit awkward due to that. I kind of feel like I've smoked out of this pipe previously with the bent stem, but with the straight stem on it, I wonder if I kind of, so whenever I smoke out of a new pipe that I have never smoked out of before and it's got a different weight than I'm used to, it feels a little bit awkward just because I'm getting used to it. And I think that's why this might feel so awkward, just because I'm getting used to, because this feels like a completely new pipe. Just because it's got a different shaped stem on it, it really does just feel like a completely new pipe. It's not really smoking differently per se, but it just feels different when you're actually holding it in your mouth. Yeah. So it feels like a new pipe, frankly put. And that's probably why it feels a little bit different. Interesting, interesting. That's kind of to be expected, I do suppose, though. I've been smoking this stuff much faster than not, though. But I haven't been getting too much tongue bite at all. But I have a very large buzz right now. Certainly no complaints on my behalf. Yeah, I definitely have to say this pipe makes it obvious why you don't put a high center of gravity on pipes. especially if they're pipes that are really supposed to be clenchers. If they're not really supposed to be clenchers and you're just kind of holding it like this, doesn't really make any difference. So if it's already a pipe that's too heavy to clench, why not just make it where it's got a really high center of gravity? But if you're trying to clench a pipe, having a low center of gravity, I feel like is definitely better than having a high center of gravity, just because the high center of gravity makes it a little bit more sort of difficult to manage, and it makes it a little bit more kind of where you're clenching it is kind of moving a lot more kind of thing, because it's kind of just the high center of gravity is kind of lifting it up, whereas the low center of gravity is kind of pulling it down, so it doesn't move around as much. And this I do feel like has a higher center of gravity than normal, at least for this pipe. Or it could just be me not being used to smoking out of this pipe. Who knows? I don't think we're done yet, but it has gone out. It is a little bit breezy today, so I am struggling to get this relit. Might wait just a moment for the breeze to go down. But it is a beautiful day today. It's like 75 degrees, as I previously said. And the sky is blue, a couple clouds in the sky, with a helicopter flying over, or whatever it may be, I'm not exactly sure. Oh, it's a plane, small plane, looks like a Cessna or something, I'm not exactly sure. I don't know what that is. Not a helicopter though. But it's a beautiful day today, feels amazing. I'm very buzzed. I'm enjoying the flavor of the pipe tobacco. I'm enjoying the buzz from it. I'm enjoying the smoking experience. Putting a straight stem on a bent stem pipe is not a bad experience by any means. I can say 100% for sure, but it definitely is a little bit of a different experience. I'm also not used to having the bowl. Like with straight pipes, they normally kind of go down a little bit anyway. And so the bowl is usually like flat, so it would be like the stem is like right here and then the bowl is like not like at an angle kind of thing. It would be like flat, just like that kind of thing. So I'm not used to actually seeing the bowl kind of a little bit more and seeing the pipe just a little bit more in my field of vision as well, so that's definitely a little bit of a difference. It's just because the pipe is sitting higher up. Yeah. I can say with certainty this is not that different of a smoking experience from normal, whether it be from a straight stem pipe or from a bent stem pipe. But it's definitely slightly different, and it's taking some getting used to. But it's definitely one of those things where if I continued smoking out of this pipe that has a straight stem on it, but it's actually a bent stem pipe, it's one of those things I would get used to, and it's one of those things that I feel like would become normal to me in just a couple smokes. I'm honestly impressed that this is still smoking though. I was expecting it to be pretty much done by now, but nah, it's still going. Five Brothers is rough though, and I'm not even inhaling. Much better. Just kind of taking a moment, just kind of thinking if there's any other differences than what I've already mentioned. Because we're probably ending the near the smoke, we're probably nearing the end of the smoke. So I'm just trying to get my final thoughts kind of oriented, trying to figure out just what the experience really is like, just fully in depth kind of thing before I'm all done with the smoke. And I think that was pretty much all there was to it. I'm just gonna go ahead and take my pipe tool and just see if that's really all there was to it or if there was actually more left. And yeah, it was pretty much just powder at that point. There really was nothing left, frankly put. Go and dump that out just like that. Just blow through it. And now I'm gonna go and give you guys my final thoughts on this experience and just let you guys know what it was like as a whole and just summarize it just a little bit more so than not. So how was this experience where I put a straight stem on a bent pipe and then smoked it? Was this experience actually a little bit different than normal, or was it just exactly the same as normal? It was a little bit different. I'd have to say it was a little bit different. The actual smoking experience itself wasn't really all that different. The sort of draw itself maybe was a little bit lighter, but honestly, there's so many other factors that you can contribute to that honestly, I don't think you can really say it was the stem, frankly put, so I'm not going to. But like more so than not as a whole, just the whole smoking experience itself was pretty much exactly the same. Of course, the taste is not going to change just because of the stem. The sort of draw did not change to any significant extent by any means kind of thing. Roughness, smoothness, pretty much the exact same as it would have been. Smoking experience wise, just how the tobacco itself smoked, I do suppose is really the right way of putting it, pretty much the exact same. But what really changed is kind of how the pipe felt in my mouth. The weight of the pipe was definitely a lot more high up than usual when compared to a straight stem pipe, and really when compared to a bent pipe. It was definitely much more high up than usual, and it was definitely felt a little bit different when I was clenching it due to that. So the center of gravity, the center of mass, whatever you want to call it kind of thing. I know they're two different things. I don't really know the difference, so I'll acknowledge. I'm not really a physics person. But the center of gravity, center of weight, center of mass, whatever, definitely a little bit higher up than normal, I feel like. And due to that, it kind of made the pipe a little bit more bouncy kind of thing, where it kind of moves around just a little bit more when you're kind of puffing away. And it also just made it feel a little bit more awkward than not to hold in my mouth as well. Now, I personally think that if I did smoke more through the pipe, through this pipe right here, and I kept the same stem on it, I do think that honestly I'd get used to it. But after having had this experience, I definitely see why the vast majority of pipe manufacturers do not make pipes that have a higher than not center of gravity, because honestly, I mean, like, maybe it's just because I'm not used to pipes with higher than not center of gravities, but to me at least it felt a little bit more awkward in my mouth than a pipe with a lower center of gravity. When it's a pipe that has a straight stem and it's kind of just weighty at the end and it's not super high up or anything like that kind of thing, it feels very normal, very comfortable, and it just feels good kind of thing. It's just nice to kind of clench on and everything like that kind of thing. pipe that ducks down just a little bit kind of thing. It's not really to my preference, but it's still better than having it high up. And this was kind of a high up center of mass, center of gravity, whatever you want to call it kind of thing. And it just felt a little bit awkward. I think I could definitely get used to that. It's not a big deal by any means, but that's definitely a difference that I should have totally thought about before the beginning of this video, but I didn't really consider, in all honesty. You know, the center of gravity, center of weight, center of mass, definitely higher up when you stick a straight stem on a bent pipe, or at least on this bent pipe. Definitely a little bit just higher up as a whole, I definitely have to say. Very interesting, very interesting. Yeah, definitely something I think I could get used to though. This definitely did not make the experience bad by any means, and it just made it a little bit different than normal. And I think if I ran a couple more smokes through this pipe, I think I'd get used to it. And honestly, I might run a couple more smokes through this pipe with this stem onto it to decide whether I prefer having straight stems on my bent pipes or whether I prefer having a bent stem on my bent pipes. I'm not sure, but I'm looking forward to finding out. That is for sure. And of course, there are some pipes that you literally could not stick a straight stem on. There are definitely some very curved pipes and whatnot, like Peterson system pipes, I want to say. Or if you tried putting a straight stem onto that, it just wouldn't even really be smokable, frankly put. But this pipe, perfectly smokable with a straight stem on it, no issue at all. You know, overall, not a bad experience. Definitely kind of different than I was expecting. I wasn't really expecting the sort of higher up gravity, the sort of higher up center of mass for some reason. That's something I totally should have expected, but I just wasn't really anticipating that, frankly put. But this was definitely an interesting experience. The experience as a whole, the smoking experience, was definitely more normal than not. Smoking-wise, the tobacco smoked just fine. No major differences. How the pipe clenched in my mouth, really, honestly, just fine. No major differences. Just a little bit more awkward and a little bit more of a higher center of mass, so it was a little bit more awkward. But really, it was a pretty normal smoke sesh. It's really nothing to overemphasize, frankly put. Pretty normal smoke sesh, pretty good smoke sesh, and I certainly have enjoyed myself today. This was an interesting little experiment. This experiment didn't really accomplish much, frankly put. It didn't really prove very much at all. And honestly, I think you could have probably figured out what this experiment was going to figure out by just looking at the pipe and giving it some thought and everything like that kind of thing. But I am very glad that I gave this experiment a go nonetheless and found out just how smoking a bent stem pipe actually is if you stake a straight stem onto it. This has been a fun experience to say the least, and I certainly have enjoyed having this experience and making this video today. And I certainly hope you guys have enjoyed watching. I think that's pretty much all I wanted to say for this video. Certainly hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video where I, well, put a straight stem on a bent pipe and then smoked it. If you guys have enjoyed watching this video, of course, please make sure to like and subscribe for more content. I have my Instagram, my book, my merch, my P.O. Box, and my second channel all in the description down below. Go check it all out. But, you know, thank you so much for watching, y'all. Till the next one, stay safe in peace and have a great one. Yes, sir, you know what I'm saying?